Hi, I'm Nell, and welcome to Simply Nell. I am so happy that you were able to join me today, and I am celebrating. If you don't know, I am celebrating 20 years as a dreadlock diva, and I just love my dreads. I love my natty dreads, and I wanted to just offer, you know, some advice and wisdom to those who are just joining the dreadlock community. And I wanted to offer, just some tips and just, pieces of information that I learned along the way. And when I first started my dreadlocks back in 2002, there was no Facebook, there was no YouTube, and so I had to do a lot of research on my own, which consisted of doing just the basic finding out the basic history of locking hair, and just really diving into that type of information. And then when I would meet someone who on my path, being out and about, if I met someone that had dreadlocks, I would respectfully ask them questions, because I needed the information so that I could begin my own journey. And that's what I did in 2002, and it's been a wonderful journey. It's been a journey that I have made lots of mistakes, and I ended up cutting my hair twice because of some mistakes that I made. But I would not have it any other way. So I thought that with my years of experience, that I would come on and I would offer that experience and that knowledge to you. So hopefully you will not fall into some of the the disasters that I went into, that I found myself in during, my own journey. And, wearing dreadlocks is a journey. And as I said before, it's a lifestyle. It's something that you walk. It's a life that you walk every day. It's not something that you can, put a cap on, throw a wig on, and go on about your business. No, it's not like that. But you know what? I've been in a couple of Facebook groups where apparently that's a thing, where you can just braid your hair and slap on a weave or slap on a wig and go about your day. But as you can see, I'm a sister of a certain age, so I'm going to leave that to the young people. But as a mature woman, I want to offer, some advice. And as you can see right now, my hair is going gray, or actually it's white, and it's going white again. And actually all of my hair is white. But over the years, I started graying kind of early. And I started maybe around 40, and it just progressed to where, probably more than likely I am 80% white at this time. And when it became apparent that the white was overtaking the black in my hair, what I did was I bleached my hair. I bleached my hair. And so, that whole chemical situation of bleaching your hair and, lifting the melanin from your hair to obtain a certain color, to escape what nature and what life is doing to your hair. I did all of that, and I will talk about that at some other time. But, yeah, 20 years. Happy 20th anniversary to me and to my beautiful, beautiful head of hair, my crown. So I want to talk a little bit about, I talked about product before in another video, but today I want to talk about something that is a little, controversial and or debatable among the dreadlock community, the locking community, and that is, how often should you retwist? And I have found that the answers kind of vary from, once a week. There are those who do it every 4 weeks. There's some who do it every 6 weeks. There are those who do it every 8 weeks. How often should you really, really retwist your locks? Now, as you see with my locks, I'm guessing you're probably saying to yourself, well, it's been it's obviously been a while since this sister has retwisted her hair. And if you said that, you would be correct. It's been a minute or two since I've had a full head. I've had my hair completely retwisted. And I really don't retwist my hair anymore. And if I do for a certain style or whatnot, I probably only retwist the front and the sides of my hair, maybe about 10 locks at the most. But I really don't retwist my hair anymore. I just let it grow and let it do what it does. And excuse me, I make my own hair products, so I usually just, if I want to wear a ponytail or 2 ponytails, or I want to do a I Dream a Genie with the ponytail on top, I have things that I use, products that I use that I make my own self, and I use that and I put it on top of my hair. But I really don't retwist my hair anymore, and I'm thinking that what people may consider my dreadlock lifestyle of choice would be freeform locks, and I suppose I fit into that category where I am a freeformer, and I just let my locks wear me. I don't do anything or subscribe to anything in particular when it comes to my locks. I let them do whatever they want to do. And my daughter is the same way. She has locks as well, and she basically, she doesn't do any retwisting. And if I do retwist her hair, I usually, I'm only in it maybe twice a year at the most. At the least, well, at the most is twice a year. So what about you? What do you think about retwisting? Do you retwist your hair, every 6 to 8 weeks? What is your routine? And I'm guessing you're saying, well, you tell me, sis. What should I do, Miss 20th anniversary dreadlock diva? What should you do? What do you suggest? Well, I would suggest that, depending on your circumstances and depending on your place of employment, then that is going to dictate how often you retwist your hair. And I would say, personally, if you really needed to retwist your hair, and this is a conversation just for those who are wearing, dreads, traditional dreads like myself. Of course, this is not tailored, or this is not advice that I would give to people who have sister locks, because that's another thing. But if you work in the corporate world and you have dreadlocks, or if it's just something that you feel very strongly about, being able to have your dreadlocks look a certain type of way and have a certain aesthetic about it, then I would suggest perhaps 6 to 8 weeks, maybe every 3 months. And you might be like, ooh, child, did she say every 3 months? Yes, I did. Every 3 months would be better. And the reason why I say that is because retwisting can be hard on your hair, hard on your locks. Retwisting features, where you have to use gel. And these gels that are on the market today contains a lot of chemicals that are harsh for your hair. And so when you're using these chemicals on your scalp, there are certain effects that you're going to gain in a negative way from using it. Some gels are not light, some gels are harsh, they're sticky, they're just not truly conducive to African American hair. And the actual retwisting can be a little, brutal on your scalp, especially on your edges. It's nothing for me to look, turn on the internet or hop into a Facebook group full of Lochnistas, and I happen to see a picture of someone whose hairline, who happens to be maybe 28, 29 years old, but their hairline is way back here. Or let's say they don't have any edges anymore, because they are, retwisting their hair too often. And retwisting your hair too often means that you're going to be pulling the hair out of your scalp, and that's not what we want, is it? I mean, it's not what I want. And so now I'm going to let you know that from experience that I've done it too. I used to retwist my hair. When I first got started with, locking my hair, I used to retwist it every week. And the reason why I retwisted it every week was because I was in a religion where, first of all, wearing dreadlocks is not cool. And then the next reason is because I didn't want to embarrass my husband. And then the next reason is I wanted to conform as much as dreadlocks would allow me to conform. So the only way that I could really conform was by, retwisting my hair and trying to keep it as neat as possible, but you can only do so much because dreadlocks is not supposed to be neat. There's a thought. But at one point I was retwisting my hair so much that my hair began to thin, and it began to thin right on top. Now right now, as you can see, it's very thick and disrespectful, like Yanni says, very thick and disrespectful. But I was retwisting my hair so much that my hair started thinning on top, and then it started thinning on around the edges. And right around my edge, I have, see my edges are still, are beautiful, right? But my hair started really thinning because I would be twisting it, twisting it, pulling at it, until eventually, that twisting and pulling, your hair starts to fall out. And then, oh Lord, you don't have any edges. And then, oh Lord, the locks that you do have are starting to thin out, and then they begin to break, and then you have spaces. And at one point, I was retwisting so much that my locks began to get thin. It started to pull, then they started to break off, and then this whole space right here, I lost an entire lock. I had lost a whole entire lock because I was retwisting all the time, and I thinned my hair, and then my locks broke off. So for me, retwisting, you should only do that perhaps every 3 months or so. And if you find it necessary to retwist your locks more than that, well, perhaps think about retwisting maybe the front of your hair only, or maybe possibly, just the front, probably maybe just the front. Because what happens is that, as I said before, dreadlocks don't want to be touched. Dreadlocks, they don't want to be touched. They want to be left alone. Dreadlocks want to be rebellious by themselves. They don't want you putting your hands all in them. They want you to leave them alone. Basically, they don't want you doing all of that stuff. They want you to love on it. They want you to spray some rose water in them. They want you to, to wash them. They want you to oil them and keep them moisturized. But they don't want you sitting there twisting them all the time. They don't like that. Your scalp doesn't like that. So if you have to retwist, I would really advise retwisting every 3, and I'm going to say this too, every 3 to 6 months. every 3 to 6 months. Give your locks a chance to grow. Give them a chance to thrive. Give them a chance to be what they are planning to be. And they can't do that if you always have your fingers stuck in the gel and putting it on them and twisting them. They're not gonna like that. They don't like it. So my advice, retwist every 3 to 6 months. And if you're in a situation, like I said before, where you're in corporate America and, there's this thing going on with you, wearing dreadlocks, then, you have to do what you need to do. I'm an artist. So, I am an entrepreneur, and, right now I'm recording from my tiny studio. So, I don't have to answer to someone, in that manner, as far as, or be criticized or looked at in a critical manner because of how my hair grows out of my scalp. I don't have to deal with that. But if you are in corporate America and you are dealing with that, then, I feel for you. And I understand that you have to do what you have to do, But if you plan to retwist, at least if you need to retwist, please only retwist every 6 to 8 weeks then. And that is the best advice that I could possibly give you. 6 to 8 weeks tops, if you must do so. And then on top of that, after you have your retwist, keep your hair wrapped. Keep a scarf around your head at nighttime before you go to bed. And that will help keep your hair, neat. And that will keep the retwist a little longer than, it will keep your hair in the style or in the form that you want it a little bit longer. I mean, because let's just face it, a retwist, locks are locks. It's not, a retwist really doesn't stay, that long, because your hair is growing, every day. And so as your hair grow, depending on your hair pattern, your hair may grow into the lock, or your hair may grow outside of the lock. And if you're the type of person like my daughter, if you're constantly retwisting to put new hair inside of a lock, every time you have new growth, then what you're going to do is you're going to thin out your lock. And and that's a problem. That's a problem, because as that lock continues to grow and it started thinning, then you're going to suffer from breakage. And so your hair is going to get to a certain length, and then you'll start seeing that your hair is thinning and about to break off. And when that happens, there's nothing that you can do, but let it pop, or take it off yourself. But why would you put yourself through that type of drama? Just don't retwist as often. So, some people have their own theories and, ideas on that. But, this is mine. I'm 20 years in the game. So, I pretty much know what I'm saying. Because trust me, I've been through a lot. So the answer to that question is, how often should I retwist my locks? The best answer is every 3 to 6 months. Okay? The answer that may work for you would be 6 to 8 weeks. That's my suggestion. Okay then. Have a wonderful day, and I hope I answered your question. And happy 20th anniversary to me. And here I am, wishing you, as you go about your path as a Locknista or a Lock gentleman, I'm wishing you 20 years of success.